Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Happy spring and welcome to the NYPA, New York Power Authority Energy Zone at the Utica Zoo for meeting number 108 of the New York State Canal Recreationway Commission. We want to thank our hosts, Jessica Allen and Joe Caruso, for making this fantastic NYPA facility available for us today for our second quarterly meeting of 2022. And I hope you are all going to be able to join us for a tour of the NYPA Energy Zone at the conclusion of today's meeting. First, I want to introduce the manager of the NYPA Energy Zone and our host, Joe Caruso. Joe.
Thank you, Director Stratton and Trustee Gonzalez, Commission. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for choosing us today. We look very much looking forward to having you on a tour after your being here. I think you'll be truly amazed at this powerful journey through the world of electricity, past, present, future, and New York State's part in it. Also, regrets from Mario Rivero, who was unable to join us today. He's on vacation, and he truly, this is a great journey for him of 6 years to make this possible. So please enjoy your visit. If there's anything you need, let us know. Oh, and we have just a little gift for you and for the trustee as well. With our compliments.
Thank you so much. We'll hold up the gift so everybody can see it. Make sure that we make note of this on our annual financial disclosure.
Have a wonderful stay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you for this wonderful facility. This is more technology than we deserve, and certainly more than we're used to at these wonderful meetings. But it's good to have you all here. I think Simon and Garfunkel had it right when they said it's all happening at the zoo. Well, it absolutely is today. So we're going to get started with our introductions. In addition to our CRC Commission members and representatives, we are joined by some very special guests for today's meeting, and we'll be acknowledging them and introducing them in just a moment, and then proceed with our usual course of introductions. We also want to welcome our commission members who are unable to attend in person today, who are with us on the screen, and we will get to them. The members of the Canal Recreationway Commission, our agency representatives from New York State, and our regional planning executives who have all logged in from various remote locations. It's good to have you with us all today. Just a brief explanation of what the CRC is, if this is the first time you're joining. For those who are not familiar with our work, the Canal Recreationway Commission, CRC, was created by the New York State Legislature in 1992 under a specific section of canal law with two responsibilities: one, to develop and oversee the Canal Recreationway Plan, and two, to advise the Canal Corporation and now NYPA on canal-related issues. The commission is comprised of 24 members. There are 14 voting members, and there are 10 of which are involved in canal use, development, preservation, enhancement, and local governments from counties adjacent to or intersected by the canal system. And much more information on the CRC and its members is available at our Canal Corporation website, canals.ny.gov. Of course, we do have a very lengthy agenda today, including staff presentations and real property items, and we're going to get to that. So I also want to recognize that in addition to our canal staff, we are again very pleased to be joined by one of our trustees from the New York Power Authority and Canal Corporation Board, the Gonzalez from Syracuse. Trustee, thank you for being with us today in person. And it is a rarity to have a member of our Board of Trustees. And we're so happy that you are here with us. Thank you for being here. Would you like to say a few words?
I just want to say thank you back because I'm on a learning tour, right, of NYPA and canals, and today I get a twofer. I get the Energy Center and the canal meeting, so I'm pretty excited about that efficiency. But I really look forward to getting to know the ins and outs of the relationship between NYPA and canals, as well as the important work that canals does. as a canal user off on the Oneida River in the Syracuse region. So thank you, everyone, and I'm glad to be here.
We're very happy to have you, and we'll remind of us who were at the January meeting that Trustee Gonzalez and her husband boat along the canal and keep their boat at SK Yards Marina, one of our wonderful canal marinas on the system. So you know the canal already, but hopefully we're going to benefit from your input as a boater and as a trustee to guide us forward. So we'll get underway with our presentations and dialogue very soon, but let me just do introductions. I should have done this at the beginning. My name is Brian Stratton. I'm the director of the Canal Corporation and the acting chair of the CRC. And so I'll begin to my right. We'll go around the immediate table. We'll go around the perimeter of the room here in Utica for our introductions. And then I'll have the screen turned back on so I can see who's on the screen and ask for your introductions on screen. So to my right, Rebecca.
Good afternoon, Rebecca Hughes. I lead public engagement for Canals.
Hi again, B. Gonzalez, trustee.
Everybody, Brian Sayez, Senior Vice President of Power Supply.
Francis Vittori, Village of Whitehall, Lot 12, and Lake Champlain.
Michelle Menard, Albany.
Mike Demesco, IT.
Steve Iacetta, Commissioner since 2014, residing on Crescent Lake, Erie Block 6 to 7.
Natalie Stetson, Commissioner. I am also the Executive Director of the Erie Canal Museum in Syracuse.
Cal Wysakowski, Commissioner from the beautiful Finger Lakes region and Dago Specialist.
Is that on?
Vince is on.
That's on our.
I got I went through the, we got a notice from Canals
You're not muted.
yesterday that
Somebody
didn't work, and that's how I got in.
That's on.
All right. Ambrose Barbuda, Director, Maintenance, Canal Corporation.
Dave Mellon, Regional Manager, Canal Corporation.
Bill, we'll go to you in the back.
Bill Schweitzer, Canal Marketing. Shane Mahar, Canal's Public Engagement.
Jackie Schillinger, Canals Public Engagement.
I'm Ryan, blissfully retired.
Thank you, Tom Ryan, for being here. Tom is our former Chief of Staff when the canals were under the New York State Thruway Authority. He is a member of the Little Falls Housing Commission and a wonderful friend of the canals. It's an honor to have you with us today, Admiral Ryan. Thank you. Back here, Joe, you want to introduce yourself again?
I'm Joe Caruso, the manager of this Jonas Dyson New York Energy Zone. Pleased to be here.
And this gentleman over here.
Timothy Giarusso, President and CEO of Human Technologies and Canal Advocate from Western New York.
Thank you, Sam.
Yep.
Kim Rapello, Special Assistant to the Director.
Very good. All right, we're going to go to the screen here now, and I'll remind you to keep your microphones on mute, and I'll try to identify our commissioners. Commissioner Wiles, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning. Dan Wiles, a long-term member of the CRC and with the Canal Society of New York State.
Thank you, Dan. Commissioner Ken DeRoller. Ken.
Yes, hello, everyone. Commissioner from Orleans County. Pleasure to be on with you today.
Thank you very much, Ken. Other commissioners on the screen? Doug Cole. Commissioner Doug Cole.
Hello, Commissioner from Schenectady County and a professional engineer.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, I'm going to just randomly point out folks that I see on the screen and ask you to introduce yourselves to the extent that we can do that. Peter Wiles, you want to say hello?
Yep, sorry about the delay. Took me a little while to figure out the unmute. Peter Wiles with Mid Lakes Navigation Company, now a private boater, and also with Canal New York Board of Directors.
Thank you very much, Dan. Carmen Story from our Real Property Division. Carmen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I look forward to enjoying this meeting with the rest of you.
Thank you, Carmen. We look forward to hearing from you very shortly. Vince Esposito, Esquire. Vince, you want to say hello?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Vince Esposito from the NIPRA Law Department. Good to see everyone.
Thank you. Judy McKinney Cherry, Chair of the Erie Canal Heritage Fund.
Thank you. It's really nice to be with you today, and I'm looking forward to the conversation that you have.
Very good. Thank you for being with us, Madam Chair. David Granoff from Canal, New York.
Afternoon, everybody. As you mentioned, from Canal, New York, and I'm listening to you from Oswego.
Yeah, thank you very much. Laura DeBetta from Department of Environmental Conservation.
Hi, everyone. Laura DeBetta, Director of Outdoor Recreation with DEC out of Albany.
Thank you. Ross Levi from I Love New York.
Thank you, Ryan. Yes, Ross Levi. I'm the Executive Director of the New York State Division of Tourism and a Vice President here at Empire State Development, today in our offices here in Albany. Sorry, I can't be with you in person, but glad to be with you virtually.
Thank you. Elaine Balchinian, Regional Director of the Capital Region for New York State Department of Parks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having this meeting and look forward to representing Commissioner Eric Kulisade today. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Bossert is here from Real Property. Dave. Canal
Hi,
Real
everybody.
Property.
Looking forward to the meeting. Thank you.
Angelin Chandler is the Vice President for Planning for Reimagine the Canals. Angelin, good to have you with us.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be with you virtually today. Angelin Chandler, NIPA Reimagine.
Wonderful to have you. Okay, Paul Byer from Department of State.
Hello, everyone. Paul Byer, Smart Growth Director at Department of State, and a happy National Beer Day to all of you.
Paul, thank you very much for putting priorities straight.
You're welcome, Director.
Thank you very much. We did have, you remind me, we did have a very successful Erie Canal Bicentennial Forum on the roots of brewing and beer making in the Mohawk Valley back in 2018. And there's a strong heritage that's associated with the canal and brewing. So please don't take those comments by Paul lightly. Very serious stuff. I hope you'll toast a beer to the canal tonight. Jeannie, are you with us? No?
Hi there. Yes. As always, I'm really happy and excited to be part of the meeting today. Thanks. Regional Planning and Development Board in Syracuse.
Syracuse, yes. Thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else would like to introduce themselves that I did not mention? Dan McEntee. Where's Dan?
Good afternoon, everyone. Dan McEntee from NIPA, Legislative and Stakeholder Affairs. Great to be with you today.
Thank you, Dan. Dan has joined us from Senator Dan Steck's office and is now in the land of NIPA and Canal. So it's wonderful to have you with us. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we have a lot to get to, and there will be an opportunity for public comment as we move along in the agenda. So we're going to continue. Let's go back to the main screen, Mike. Thank you very much. Our first action, I'm informed that we have a quorum. We do have a quorum, so meeting number 108 is underway. And our first action today is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was held virtually on January 31st of this year. Commissioners should have received a copy of the minutes in that meeting as part of your package in advance from today. Have the members had the opportunity to review the minutes? And if so, may I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Moved by Cal Wasikowski, second by Rob Torte. Then we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes as they were presented to you?
Brian, this is Dan Wiles. Just a very simple minor one, and that's the first line. It says we convened meeting 106. I think it's 107, isn't it?
That would be correct, Commissioner. Thank you. That's why we have you here. Thank you for being here today and bringing that error and omission and correction to our observation. Let the meeting notes reflect that we last convened for meeting number 107. So those minutes will be amended. I'm not sure if we resend them to commissioners. Any other comments on the minutes or discussion? Okay, we will make the Commissioner Wiles note to reflect that the proper meeting notice of what we did on January 31st. And we'll take a vote. All those in favor for accepting the minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Well, before we settle into the meat of our agenda, I want to share with you a very brief video which recaptures the essence and our very best of 2021. You know, we're only 6 weeks away from the start of the new canal season, but last year was a glorious season, not without its challenges and its triumphs. And we're through the magic of our wonderful video production unit and Chris Iska, who is our NIPA and Canal video wizard, we have assembled this very brief video to lead you through the best of 2021. Would you please play the video, Mike? Thank you. And Kim, dim the lights.
It's opening day, beginning of the 197th consecutive season of navigation on the Erie Canal.
Come to the state of New York. You'll have a world-class experience.
We have discovered in the deep waters of Seneca Lake the world's only known surviving packet boat.
We're preserving the past as inspiration for current and future generations on how limitless we are here in the state of New York, only limited by our own imagination.
Lifting our movable dams in advance of the arrival of Hurricane Henri. It's about getting our infrastructure out of the water and preventing any flooding that might occur as a consequence of the storm.
We are extremely proud of this project. We want people to be a part of it because this is Buffalo's project, and frankly, it's the country's project.
We're trying to do projects like this all along the canal system. It's part of our Reimagine the Canals, the Power Authority and the Canal Corporation. And so we're very proud of this project and the ones that will follow.
2025 will mark the 200th anniversary of DeWitt Clinton's journey down the canal from Buffalo to New York City. So naturally, we should celebrate that event. New York State is joining the bid to bring the 2025 World Canals Conference back to North America and to the Queen City. If you know me, I'm very competitive. And I can tell you right now that New York not only intends to compete, but to win the hosting rights for the 2025 World Canals Conference.
Great. Wonderful video. Thank you so much again to Chris Iska in the NIPA. It deserves to be played again, but we don't have time. Thank you to Chris Iska for that wonderful job in assembling that video. That is really a composite of several videos that we did during the year, in which I try my best to remember to share with each of you. They're great viewing, and very, very proud of them, and we look forward to making more of them as we go along. Okay, as we near the starting date for the beginning of our 197th consecutive season coming up of navigation on the canal, on the Erie Canal, on May 20th, and we will open on May 20th in Fairport, the village of Fairport. More information on that will be coming to you. We are still very much hard at work in finishing up the remaining elements of our winter maintenance program, which is why it takes so long to get all that work done and why we are so tight in our time frame for opening and closing seasons. Opening so we can finish up the work that has been done, closing so that we can get to the next round of work that has to be done. Once again, Canal Regional Manager Dave Mellon and Director of Waterways Maintenance Ambrose Barbuto are here with us to provide an update on the ongoing pace of canal operations and capital planning. Welcome, Dave and Ambrose.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, everyone. So today, Ambrose and I have a brief operational update for you. We're going to talk about two things. The first thing, if you go back a few meetings, we introduced the concept of our asset management inspection functional area. That's the functional area that's focused on our critical infrastructure and also fleet and construction equipment used at the Canal Corp. So I'll be providing an update on that, and then Ambrose, I'll turn over to Ambrose, and he's going to talk about season readiness and the status of winter work. So to kick off the discussion on the asset management, we've actually brought two videos for you to show that, which I really think it helps understand it better by seeing people and things. So go ahead, play the first one. This is about the equipment purchases we made last year.
This is Sterling Creek in Frankfurt. Lock 19's right here. This creek is one of our biggest depositories. The sediment that comes in here never stops. It's one of our biggest problem childs. It fills in so fast, we just can't keep up with it. We had numerous sailboats, private boaters, sport cruisers running aground. And it's not just here, it's from here all the way to Dyke Road. This level needs attention. This is very common for us. We tend to do a lot of dry dredging in the winter. This winter, with all this new equipment, we've had the opportunity to try to utilize these haul trucks and put our excavators down in the channel so we can dig as much as we can this winter. This has been a big asset getting this equipment. And is to hit this as hard as we can this year and get this opened up finally from here all the way to Dyke Road, and then we can move on to our normal routine dredging, routine maintenance. A lot of our older machines are a lot smaller. Smaller buckets, smaller machines, older engines. This new PAT equipment is night and day. It's a lot bigger, heavier footprint. You can move more material faster than what we were used to dealing with. It has definitely improved how much we can move, how fast we can move it. The equipment's comfortable, the operators are comfortable.
It's nice for a change. Having bigger equipment, you get the job done faster, you can move more material. The water's down, so we're trying to dig it down 8 feet. So when they water up, we at least have 14 feet. I love being an equipment operator. I've always loved it. It's fun, sit in the machine and just keep it moving.
It's nice to see these guys happy though. They got the tools to do the job and they're just running nonstop. But the equipment allows that. It's made to run. It's ergonomic, it's comfortable, it's quiet. It's just a whole different ballgame.
So basically two of the...
When the lights on again?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Two of the focus areas for asset management and inspection at the Canal Corp are public safety and operational efficiency. Well, this obviously fits into the operational efficiency category. In 2021, we bought somewhere between 30 and 35 pieces of equipment in our capital budget. And 14 of those were the type of heavy highway equipment that you see in this video. So large excavators, articulating trucks, large dozers. And this equipment is mostly aimed at dredging. And dredging, of course, is critical to maintaining navigation depths throughout the system. We have seven, prior to these purchases, we had seven pieces of equipment that we use to dredge the canal. There's 4 hydraulic dredges, 2 mechanicals, and there's a new dredge in the Waterford area known as the Water Master. Those 7 pieces of equipment do most of the dredging. And the dredging that we do is on the order of 250,000 or 250,000 yards a year. That's like the quantity that we dredge annually. So in this Sterling Creek example,
just a little louder if you can for the people on video, Dave. Thank you.
So this example video that we played for you, showing some work at Sterling Creek this winter, the new equipment was able to dredge almost 20,000 yards of material. If we didn't have that equipment, we would have the hydraulic dredge in that channel, and it would do somewhere in the 7,000 to 8,000 yards. And the hydraulic dredge would not be on mainline. So, as Bob Holmes, he was the guy who was speaking mostly in the video, said he might have said it's a game changer. It's totally a game changer because the 14 pieces of equipment, they do not have 14 pieces of equipment at that site. They're spread across the state. So our ability to better maintain navigation depths has totally increased because of these equipment purchases last year. So it's a good thing. It's moving in the right direction. So that was an update there on the operational efficiency. On the public safety end of things, the critical infrastructure concerns that we talked about a few months ago still remain. They are not, I can't sit here today and say that they're better. They still remain, but our understanding of the risks continues to increase. So our inspection program is very healthy. We're doing more inspections now than we ever have. And we are expecting to do over 400 structural inspections this year. And we're entering into agreements with 2 engineering firms, 3-year agreements to help us do that. So asset management inspection, lots of good stuff going on there. But the physical condition of the infrastructure, that issue still remains. So moving over to Ambrose with a season update, I just want to add one thing that's related to the opening and the winter work. We every year we hire winter seasonals to help us with the winter work, and then in the summer we do the same. The number of summer seasonal helpers that we typically hire is on the order of 160 to 175. This year it's slightly over 200. There's reasons for that. It has to do with work backlogs on some of our embankments and dams and inspections of those types of features. So we're hiring a lot of summer help right now. Our HR department is very busy with that. There is a growing concern that we'll be able to find that many people who want to come work for Canals for the summer. We'll see. So that's active. And then in terms of season update, I'll turn it over to Ambrose.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Thanks, Dave. Good afternoon, everyone. So last meeting, we talked a little bit about our winter work, which typically consists of our pump outs. The ones we have ongoing this year in the east, Lock C2 on the Champlain, E4, E10, and E21. And in the west, we have Lock 08 up in Oswego, Lock E29, E32, and E34. So at that meeting, we were just kind of getting our winter work going. 3 months later here, I'm happy to report that, we're making great progress. We're on schedule. We don't see anything at this point that will, delay the opening from those projects. We still have about a month to go to get everything wrapped up, but making good progress. We also have, at the end of last season, as we were watering down, we found some large sinkholes just west of Lock E17 in Little Falls. I'm happy to report after, trying to get permits in place, we finally have those, and we're starting that work as we speak. It should be about a week of work. So that should not have a delay on the season either. Also, we're doing a pretty good size embankment repair out in Albion, New York. We found some seeps there. We've got our permits in place, and that work is progressing, and we should have no issues there. I have a video too. We've been trying to really highlight the work that our employees are doing through videos because it just shows so much more. We've taken every pump out this year. We've done a little newsletter, sent it out to the employees. I think some of you may have seen those as well. And we've gotten great response from our employees. They're just so happy that we're highlighting the work that they're doing. So Mike, have at it. there, that's work being done by Canal employees, 100%. So we'll have a couple more videos before the end of the season. We're working on one right now for E10 one. We'll be happy to share those with everyone. Thank you.
Ambrose, that is tremendous. Thank you. It's really eye-opening to see the amount of work that goes on. I've been here so long that I probably knew every piece of hardware that was being worked on and what its function was. That only happens when you stay around a long time. So, but that was great. It was wonderful. And you know, for a system that is at least 105 years old, you don't have ready-made parts on the shelves. A lot of these parts, most of them, if not all of them, need to be specialty fabricated, and they are done so in the Waterford maintenance shop for the entire system. So you see, and those of you who have joined us for tours of pump outs know how intense and involved they are. It's not easy work. Tribute to all of our great people who make it happen every day. Any questions for Ambrose or Dave as we go through here?
I would just like to say that I appreciate getting that information via email. Don't always understand it, but that's okay. Can see what's going on. Appreciate that.
I also really love the emails and watching those. I have a 3-year-old and I'm like, how many, like I have a new appreciation for construction vehicles and work like this. I'm like, how can I get him to come see a pump out? That would make his little baby life. Very cool.
It's good to hear. Oh, what was it? Yeah, right. Okay. What's that?
Can I ask a question?
I'm sorry. Yes, trustee.
The seasonal work, what kind of outreach do you do to ensure that you're meeting the diversity, equity, inclusion goals of NYPA and canals in the hiring process for your seasonal work?
Our HR staff right now is participating in recruitment fairs at places like BOCES across the state. And I think there's some other venues as well. So they're kind of out there trying to, you know, increase support and awareness that these kinds of opportunities exist.
I'll share some ideas with you tomorrow when I step by the office. Okay, great.
There are some concerns on, you know, the number that we're trying to
I have
get.
some ideas for you.
Good. We welcome them. Thank you very much. Bill, did you have a comment in that regard?
I just wanted to say that our team, the marketing and public engagement team, are working with HR, and they're actually they're seeking out just not the standard job fairs, and then the materials that we're using and the way in which we're reaching out. We're talking about it, you know, so we're welcome any help we can get.
I'll just share that the educational opportunity centers across the state will do specific training work, right, with companies and corporations. So working with the EOCs in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse might help you not only get people trained up with the skills that you're looking for, but will give you the diversity, equity, inclusion targets that you're looking for.
There's a place in Utica called the Center, and it's a refugee center. One of the things we did is we went and we talked to them about canals, told them who we were, and then part of it was, and we also are looking for, you know, hiring. And so we're keeping that communication line open and telling them where the job fairs are and that we're going to be there today. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect all the state organizations and agencies together, right?
Imagine
It's
that.
like leverage what we're already doing across the systems.
It's well worth it. We're going to follow up on that, Trustee Gonzalez, and we'll hopefully talk more about that at our next quarterly meeting. Thank you for that input. We look forward to having you come to Albany too.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Once the weather gets better.
I'm gonna actually see Dave tomorrow. I forgot Dave's not at all. So, well, he's in Albany 2 days. So, well, thank you again, Ambrose and Dave, for that great presentation. We're going to go on to item 2 on our agenda, which is aquatic invasive species. As many of you know, the mitigation of aquatic invasive species is a key component in our Reimagine the Canals plan and initiative moving forward. And here to provide an update on this most timely issue and our ongoing partnership with both the Executive Chamber and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation is our Senior Director of Public Engagement, Rebecca Hughes. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you, Director. Next slide, please. I'm not expecting you to read this. This is just a screenshot of a press release that we issued a collaboratively with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation on March 24th, so just a couple of weeks ago. We also shared this via email with our canal councils and our CRC and other key stakeholders. And this is announcing what we call a rapid response plan. It is aimed specifically at mitigating the round goby, a small invasive fish species. I have an example with me if anybody would like to see one up close. And I'll talk a little, that's the actual size, yeah. And it's a lure because the goby is actually a very effective bait fish for bass, which is problematic, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we'll talk about the rapid response plan momentarily, but next slide, please. First, we'll zoom way back for a minute. Yes, please. So The Artificial River was one of my favorite books. It was actually on my shelf from a college environmental politics course many moons ago. But I came back to it when I joined the Canal Corporation. And Carol Sharif, the author, says that according to the societal norms of 1825, the canal emphasized the human resourcefulness behind the waterway and its alteration of the physical landscape. This triumph of art represented progress, the ability of humanity to subdue nature and craft a civilized society out of wilderness. This might not sit well today as we're more environmentally mindful, but that the canal is just that. It was the triumph of industry. It was a physical connection to the westward expanse. It brought people and industry into the new world. Next slide, please. But it also did some things that were inadvertent or, sometimes deliberate, that weren't always aligned with our societal values today. So prior to the construction of the canal, New York State watersheds were separated from the Great Lakes. So the canals and later the St. Lawrence Seaway created this pathway for aquatic invasive species to migrate from the Great Lakes to the Mohawk and Hudson rivers. Next slide, please. And as much as, a knee-jerk reaction to that might be to say, well, let's segment them again. Let's bring it back to the way it was and separate those watersheds. The reality is that the canals have now been in place for 200 years, and they're part of the ecological landscape. So within the canal system, there's evidence of diverse aquatic environments, biodiversity, fish migration, and habitat. And we look to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, known as SEQR, to mitigate environmental impacts whenever we take an action like a construction or an intervention. And of course, SEQR did not exist at the time the canal was constructed. But thankfully, we have that framework now so that any intervention that we look at to control aquatic invasives, we're also considering any indirect impact to the environment as well. So I'll just spend a minute talking about how aquatic invasives are dispersed. The canal is just one pathway for dispersal. There's two main families of dispersal of aquatic invasives, and many more modes for terrestrial or on-land invasives as well. But natural dispersal includes connected water bodies, so tributaries that maybe connect one watershed to another. Wildlife, as you can see on the screen, so birds, including geese and other waterfowl, disperse aquatic invasives through seeds, either within their plumage or through their digestive tract. And also fish can do the same, so they can move aquatic invasives from one water body to another. And then there's also human-assisted or anthropogenic means of dispersal. So that's on the other side of the screen. You can see commercial shipping through ballast water or hull fouling, through recreational boating, through live wells and other water holding components on boats and motors. They can come in on trailers, through angling, or what I would have previously known as fishing. They can also be transferred through bait buckets. That's what you see in the lower corner when you hear about a bait bucket transfer. It is indeed that simple, a bucket through which you carry bait. At the end, maybe you're dumping it if you've got round goby in there as your bait, you're then introducing it to a new water body. And then aquarium dumps. Fish get too big for their tank, or parents get tired of taking care of them and, dump them into a nearby water body or sewer system, and they can also proliferate that way. So that's just a little bit of background on the different ways that aquatic invasives can spread. And our rapid response plan does focus on the canal system, but it also considers other human-assisted means of dispersal. So what do we mean by a rapid response plan? This is an industry term that is well known. It's essentially using data insights and mapping them to operational adjustments or technological interventions. And we use that data-driven response so that we can get out of a reactionary mode and move into one that's proactive, transparent, and is communicated in advance. So this is a joint effort between not only the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and Canals, but also with the Lake Champlain Basin Program and other partners who have a great deal of sample data and expertise in this area. And our focus is mainly on increasing data collection. That's collection through trawling, so actual sampling from fisheries and water bodies, as well as what's called eDNA, or environmental DNA sampling. That can be a predictor of an aquatic invasive. So their cells, their fecal matter, those things can often show up in a water body before we'll ever capture a species through sampling. So that can be very good predictive insight. We're doing this in coordination, of course, with Vermont and the Canadian provinces of Ontario and Quebec. I guess I should zoom out for a second and say the focus of the round goby is largely due to the discovery of the goby 12 miles south of Troy in the Hudson River last July. So this raised big alarms for the environmental community and for the canal community, and broadly. And the fear is that the goby will migrate into the canal system, up the Champlain Canal, and make its way into the Lake Champlain Basin. And that would be hugely disruptive to ecosystems there, and it would disrupt potentially the angling industry, which generates a tremendous amount of economic impact in the region. So although our focus is on the round goby today, I think we can all agree that the need for a proactive plan has been there for a while, and this is the right thing to do as stewards of the canal, to have an awareness of what threatens our water bodies and how we're going to approach them when they show up or threaten to show up. So we're doing that now through this rapid response plan. We're piloting some operational modifications on the Champlain at locks C7 and C8 in Fort Edward this navigation season. We'll talk about that a lot in a minute. This is going to be iterative, so we're testing and learning, we're gathering data, we're analyzing, and we're applying our learning in real time. And this will lead to our mid and long-term priorities and interventions, which will expand beyond the Champlain Canal. And my hope is that we'll be nation leaders in showing how to do this right and prevent further spread of AIS into the basin and beyond. So focusing immediately on the round goby, we're looking again at movement via the canal to Lake Champlain. Our partners to the north along the Rochelle River and other canal systems in the St. Lawrence are also looking at aquatic invasive mitigation and looking at the goby right now. The modifications that we have in mind for this navigation season include scheduled locking, again, just at those two locks, not system-wide, but just at C7 and C8, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Double draining, double locking, double flushing, all different terms for the same thing. We'll talk about that in a minute too. And enhanced non-navigation draining. So the map on the screen it's hard to see, but at the bottom is lock C7 in Fort Edward. At the very top is C9 in Fort Anne. That's a stretch of about 8 miles, and that stretch is dewatered in the non-navigation season. Because the goby doesn't fare well in the winter or without a water body, you could theorize that they would not survive that non-navigation season. And again, in theory, but in practice, there's still sewer runover and other water that comes into the dewatered system. So we're looking at, can we more thoroughly pump this out and dewater it as one additional preventative measure. So we'll measure that this year. We're going to model it and do some feasibility analysis. Increased data collection, so just you'll see more sampling. The U.S. Geologic Survey does a lot of this on behalf of DEC, and they have a map that's updated in real time for where they're sampling. I'd be happy to share that as a follow-up if anyone wants to learn more. This is already a bit outdated. An electric barrier, we're learning, has some pretty high risks associated with it, including danger to humans. That's pretty dire, but there are many other technologies that are being tested all around the country, and we can work with DEC, the Army Corps, and other experts to determine what might be right for the Champlain Canal. And again, we'll modify those over time, and we'll couple it with education. So just zooming in a little bit on the area where we're talking, this map came from Jamie DeLuca and our Real Property and GIS division when I first joined Canals, and it blew my mind. I thought everything just flowed in one direction. That is in fact not true. You can see several places along the canal where there's summit levels, where there's change in elevation, and from that point, the water flows bidirectionally. And on the right side of the screen, you can see where I zoomed in on the Champlain Canal. So between locks C8 and C9 is the summit of the Champlain Canal. It's the highest point of elevation along the system. It's also where the Glens Falls feeder enters the canal to provide water. And that's the point at which it flows both north and south. And that's why we see so much focus on this particular area when we're talking about aquatic invasive measures, because we're looking to keep anything from traveling north of that summit level into the Lake Champlain Basin. We're looking to keep everything flushing south toward the Hudson River and away from that bigger watershed. So when we talk about scheduled lockings, we are looking at operational changes at C7 and C8 only. Again, this does not apply to the whole Champlain Canal or the whole system. Boats would enter lock C7 from the south, I think, every other hour. And then a commensurate time would pass, before they get to lock C8. We'd wait for all the boats to get there, then we would open the lock and let them in. In terms of double draining, what does that mean? So the vessel approaches the closed lock from downstream. The water is lowered to allow entry, and at that point, we're creating some turbulence. The water is rushing south, and it's creating turbulence that's troublesome for around Goby to combat. The vessel enters the lock, and the lower gates are closed behind them. The lock is filled, and the boat goes up. But instead of the gates opening, again, the lock is drained a second time, and that turbulence is created again to force water downstream back toward the Hudson River. The water is raised again, and those upper gates are open, and the boat can go on with its journey. And so this, just by logic, means that you're going to spend twice as long locking through at C7 and C8. So you're planning your timing based on scheduled lockings, and you're going to take about 40 minutes in the lock. We do, as always, recommend that boaters turn off their engines so they don't have fumes accumulating in the lock while they're going through this process. We would encourage that here too, of course. But boaters would have to plan for about 40 minutes at that lock instead of 20. And when we put that press release out, thank you. I would say the resounding feedback was, how can I help? How can I be part of the solution? And from Boat US and the Marine Trades Association, they said, let's do a video. Let's demonstrate double draining. Let's talk about what's happening. So we're going to take them up on that, and we'll share some more real examples of what that looks like. We're focused on the Goby here. There are concerns across the entire system about other aquatics, whether they're fish species, crustaceans, plant species like hydrilla. And we will ultimately expand the rapid response plan to encompass the whole system and a more diverse set of aquatic invasives. But our test and learn right now is about the round Goby on the Champlain.
Can we just point out that the double draining applies to traffic that is headed south to north only, not north to south?
We're not sure yet whether it's going to be northbound only, because that's where we would want to, where we would have the influx of potential Goby. that's something we just have to finalize with operations and the Army Corps to see, what the most effective strategy is going to be. So we're not sure yet. Yeah, it's new every day. It's developing. We're figuring it out. We have the right partners. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, Rebecca. Excellent presentation. Curious about the finding 12 miles south of Lock 1 Troy, 6 miles south of Albany approximately. Is any goby found north of that point since that finding?
Not documented yet, but sampling is underway now. It's kind of dictated by weather. Some of DEC's sampling with the U.S. Geologic survey began last month, and it's beginning in earnest. We're going to continue to collect data. We suspect it's probably going to be found, probably not. I don't know. I can't say probably because that would be, statistical or more informed than I am. It's likely to the north of that. Probably not all the way up to Champlain, but we'll see. And we're going to be prepared for that and have a response plan ready.
Data is key. Thank you.
Yeah, I think data is the great equalizer, right? It allows us to get away from any debate and focus instead on the information at hand and the appropriate response to it. We're going to communicate until you're sick of hearing about the goby. We'll do this through coordinated meetings and presentations. We'll put out notices to mariners, including one very soon about details on the entire system and the schedules for operations and with details on the Champlain. We're working on fact sheets already. We'll share data both through DEC and the NYPA Canal's websites and through social media. Thanks to our amazing social media lead, Elisa Outerkirk, we're going to do more deep insights into not only what the data is, but how it's collected, how it affects us, some more about the why. And if there are changes that are coming as a result of a trigger being met in the rapid response plan, you'll know about it. We're going to share with as much advance notice as possible if there are changes to operations at all. And you'll also have the rapid response plan access to it to know what the data points are and what our planned actions are in relation to those. And just to answer that question of how can I be part of the solution, it's very much an all hands on deck effort. When a subject matter expert was recently asked about this from DEC, someone said, if you had endless resources, what would you focus your mitigation efforts on? And she quickly said, education and outreach. Human transfer is huge. Anything that we're doing on the canal is only as good as we're doing on a holistic approach. So participate in meetings, forums, trainings. There's several groups that you can get involved with regionally. The Partnerships for Regional Invasive Species Management are called PRISMs. There's 8 of them across the state. They're run by DEC. You can get involved with those if you're interested in this. There's also their Watercraft Inspection and Survey Program, or WISP. Everyone should be familiar with the Clean, Drain, Dry protocol for boaters to make sure that we're part of the solution, especially for boats that are trailered in. Support consumer education. When you have a table at a conference or an event or a community celebration, considering just having some DEC materials on hand. Talk to people about their fishing and boating behavior. Talk to them about what we're doing on the canal. Just start to make this part of the dialogue, and then tell us how we're doing. When we're going through any operational adjustments, we're looking not only at how effective is this at managing aquatic invasives, but how effective is this at balancing the need to keep recreational boating vital. So tell us what your experience is like if you've experienced that delay, if you weren't aware of scheduled blockings, and we could do better to communicate about that. If we get a huge number of boats through that section of the Champlain this year and we need food trucks on hand, make your recommendations. We would love to hear from you. And we'll definitely engage you in the planning process as well. And we did build in some time if anyone has any additional questions in the next slide. You can feel free to raise those now or contact us afterward.
So I don't have a question, but I would like to make a statement. I appreciate and I'm very grateful for this information. When I talk to people and the campaign, the PR campaign was, close just one lock, close just one lock. It's going to take care of this situation. And I was at a lag. what to say was going to be done. So I'm very grateful for this information, for the presentation, and for a path forward. Just really appreciate that information to be able to share it and be confident in it. And say we have work to do, but here's where we are now, and here's where we're going forward. So thank you. It's very important.
Al, thank you very much. It is a process that is just getting underway. It's going to be an evolving process, as Rebecca has said. So we'll have more information on where things stand when we get to our next quarterly meeting, and certainly communicate that information to the commission in between that time. But it is a critical component, and you're hearing more from the stakeholders along the Champlain Canal who are impacted or who would be impacted. And certainly our own Commissioner Torte, the former mayor of Whitehall, knows the impact firsthand, the economic impact.
It would be crazy. Both a lot, really. So good thing that came with that other plan to keep the locks open, keep this going.
Would it be possible to get a copy of your presentation, Rebecca?
Yeah, of course. I can share that with the whole CRC.
I just asked everybody to speak up a little bit because some folks may not hear everybody. We are not only amongst ourselves in this beautiful room, but we are being live streamed, not to put in any pressure on anyone across the state and around the world, I guess, for that matter. So, yes, Natalie, Commissioner Stetson.
Where would we get DEC materials that can be passed out at public places?
So DEC has regional reps all over the state that are charged with this. I'll say they're also through the Lake Champlain Basin Program. They're hiring a new boat steward this year that'll be located at the DEC regional office, an employee of the Lake Champlain Basin Program. So we'll forge greater connections with those stewardship groups and make sure that we can get materials out to everyone so that we can help to amplify. I think, when you're coupling that with a broader boating safety message, attracting people to recreation as a sustainable way to enjoy outdoors will also be part of the solution on AIS. It's a really good story to tell.
Other commissioners at the table with questions or comments on Rebecca's presentation. Commissioner DeRoller, Commissioner Cole, Commissioner Wiles online. Do either of you, any of you, have any questions or comments?
Ken DeRoller here, just a comment. I appreciated the call in advance of the press release, and we had some great coverage up here in local media. So you did a good job in the rollout. So, and I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's good to have you with us. Thank you.
And I'll just
Dan Wiles or Doug Cole.
I'll just thank you for your
Laura
excellent
Gabetta
presentation.
from DEC. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to thank her for an excellent presentation.
She says thank you. Laura DeBetta, you're kind of hidden by our home screen here, but we can see half of you.
That's okay. I'm just super grateful that Rebecca has become basically, I don't know, an honorary DEC invasive species expert. So that, I really appreciate that. And obviously this is a very complicated topic with so many stakeholders. And I think that our two agencies, it's great that we're working so closely together to try to balance all of that and really take a very thoughtful and thorough approach to try to get ahead of something rather than react to it. So Rebecca, thank you for taking this on and working so closely, in particular at DEC. Our Deputy Commissioner for Natural Resources, Katie Petronis, is lead for our agency, working very closely with our fish and wildlife staff and our invasive species staff. So this will be ongoing. Hopefully we've got a really good foundation here moving forward.
Thank you, Laura. I will say I get absolutely zero credit. I took half the slides from your colleagues, and then the others came from James Candeloro from Environmental Health and Safety, and Andrew Weinstock, who is a fisheries biologists at NIFA, so they're your subject matter leads. If you had a real question, it would go, a technical question, it would go to them, not to me. But thank you for the platform to have open dialogue about this. That's really critical with kind of an uncertain future, but we can plan as best we can and make sure that we're communicating about it.
So because we are in the middle of an ongoing CRC meeting, we're limiting at this point the commentary and questions to CRC commissioners, agency representatives, and regional county planning executives. So we do have a portion at the end of the program for public commentary. We welcome whatever you'd like to say at that point. Thank you, Rebecca, for a wonderful presentation and for passing around the Gobi. So we can be on the lookout. All right, we're going to go on to number 6. We'll go back to the agenda screen, please. Number 6 on my script, but number 3 for our purposes. If you're feeling a little bit sluggish or tired after you've heard about the Gobi and all of the details, we're going to wake you up now with our next presentation. And if the coffee is not quite doing it for you, Canal Corporation's own Mr. Energy Bill Schweitzer is our marketing director, and it is not only National Beer Day, but it is Bill Schweitzer's birthday. Bill, we have brought something for you. We have a cupcake from Utica Whisk Bakery. Happy birthday from all of us.
Happy birthday, Bill.
To add a couple minutes on this.
We don't have time to sing, Bill. So we're going to move right into your presentation. Bill is the director of marketing, and he's working with several of our CRC commissioners and agency partners as we continue to plan and make ready for the Erie Canal Bicentennial and the Bicentennial of the Champlain Canal, which is next year. Erie Canal in 2025, Champlain Canal, which opened 2 years earlier. We'll celebrate 200 years next year in 2023. We welcome Bill. We wish him well for his birthday, and we turn the floor over to Bill Schweitzer. Bill.
I knew I was going to blush a little, but hi, welcome. Thanks very much. It's good to be back with the CRC. I'm Bill Schweitzer, marketing director for the Erie Canal, and I'm here to talk about the Erie Canal Bicentennial, and as Brian said, the Champlain Canal Bicentennial, which is next year. There's some plans underway with 2023. I've been reaching out to our stakeholders, Lakes to Locks, and a few other folks. We'll certainly be doing a lot. We had a meeting already, Farad, just earlier on that. So that's why I'm here. I raised my hand and said, can I head up the bicentennial planning? And so that's why I'm here today. Next slide. There's plenty to celebrate for sure, but certainly lots to plan. In 2017, I think we started planning maybe in 2014, 2015. We were a little ahead of ourselves now. So that's why I'm here. There's lots of plan. And it's not just celebration, it's programming, legacy projects. What are we going to talk about? What are our stories going to be? What are our untold stories? What will be the new narratives for going forward? We'll kick off the season in Fairport, New York, celebrating 200 years since the canal met the Rochester area. We'll also be kicking off or returning to the Canal Fest in Waterford on opening day weekend. And Waterford will be kind of looking, just geographically at the 2023 bicentennial. I've reached out to folks in Waterford, Schuylerville, and Fort Edward to have celebrations in 2023. And we're looking forward to the first kickoff of the Canal Fest in a couple of years, and the celebration of the 198th season. Next slide. We are watching proposed legislation from Dan Steck of Queensberry. The legislation is to form a bicentennial commission, and for both 2025 and 2023. Glens Falls is obviously in the Champlain corridor, so we are watching that. Going out west to Canalside Buffalo, we are partnering with the Maritime Museum. Buffalo is gearing up for many celebrations. The Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation is we are planning things with them at currently. And President Steve Rinaldi will be at the New York State Canal Conference in October, the last one before the World Canals Conference. And sticking with Buffalo Canal side, the World Canals Conference, as the governor told you in the video, we bid on bringing back the World Canals Conference to New York State for 2025 in Buffalo. And Governor Kathy Hochul is obviously behind it and has endorsed it. Next slide. At the Buffalo Maritime Museum, the Seneca Chief is being worked on now, possible tours in 2024, 2025. Next slide too, there's Brian working on it. It's a team effort. That is a legacy project as I look at it. It's tied to the Seneca Lake findings packet boat that Art Cohen and team is doing. Those type of projects, you know, not only do we want to celebrate them and elevate them, but it's part of our story. And it's not only are you promoting them, but you're also kind of jumping on them. And that's what we'll be talking about leading up to 2025. Next slide. We're partnering with DMV and the governor's office for a new Erie Canal license plate in 2025. You see the old one here. They only sold 83 of those when it came out. I think we can do better, right? This will be your contribution to the Canal Bicentennial. So there are drafts of the new design with the governor's office now, and we're following them. There's also talk of a stamp, and the coin came out this year. The coin was at the Canal Conference in Schenectady. Next slide. So on the canals, our other festivals that are out there, you know, we are going to be elevating these on the canal excursions will be focused or kind of skewed towards the bicentennial. And it's again about the programming. We're all, you know, we're an accumulation of our partners on the canal, right? We maintain and operate it, but we need partners, and we need CRC to coordinate. Next slide. Here's just a few of our partners. The grants and festivals that will be happening along the canals, we have to leverage our partners to get them off the ground. The grants, our new grant program, Market New York, Council on the Arts during the CFA in 2017 skewed their grant process to award bicentennial projects. We hope to do that. I'm going to be asking our state agency partners that are on the screen, Parks, I Love New York, DEC, Taste New York, to help us in that endeavor. But it's here are some of the partners that we'll be working with, obviously, and we work with every day, and we'll need them. Next slide. So thank you. That's about it. I think the call to action today, or my real, duty today, is to say that I'm the point of contact for the bicentennial, and that let's form the bicentennial committees. I don't know all the bylaws, but let's form several committees. I mean, when I volunteered for this, I think I called a few, Michelle, I called you, Natalie, Cal. I called Dan Wiles first because I really liked his questions from the last CRC meeting. I'm your point of contact. Let's get planning. I think our first order of business is kind of creating a timeline, seeing where we are, where we're going to be in 6 months, where we're going to be in a year, who are our partners going to be, how are we going to fund it. And so the forming of the committee and put me on that agenda. And I think the most important thing is my contact information up there. Email me, call me, and let's get planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. That was a great presentation. I'm going to let Commissioner Wiles have the first right of commentary, since he raised this issue at our last meeting about what's being done about the bicentennial. We pledged to him to connect a staff member to that effort and to get to work directly with our commission members, our agency partners, and our regional planning executives on input for bicentennial events, because 2025 will be here very soon. 2023 is actually next year. We have a state conference at the end of this year in Rochester. We hope to hear more about that, Commissioner Wysokowski, at our July meeting.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So, Commissioner Wiles, any commentary or questions for Bill?
Yeah, I guess just a reminder, I think at the last meeting, there was an informal call to who on the commission was interested, and I think every voting member said they wanted to be part of this committee. And is there anything that we should do today to forward the formation of that committee? Can we do it today?
Where's our counselor? Counselor Esposito, is the Canal Recreationway Commission able to do a audible roll call vote or vote on the establishment of a subcommittee, a bicentennial working committee?
I don't know the answer to that question. That's a great question, Director.
I think it's a yes. I'm not an attorney, but I think I've been around
Okay.
here time, so we'll do that, and we'll worry about the technical details after the meeting. But all those in favor of forming a bicentennial committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, We have a committee. Chairman Wiles, do you want to volunteer to chair that committee?
Okay.
We'll work out. We'll share the chairmanship. How about that? But we have
That
a
would be
committee.
great.
Just so I'm clear, in case I have to comment on,
Retroactive vote. We'll do so at the next meeting.
just so I'm clear on the purpose of the committee in relation to the commission, is it intended to support the commission if it's approved? Is that the purpose of it?
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So there'll be more information to follow.
Okay, great,
And-
thank you.
You know, Dan, let's get a committee together, but then let's make proper committees too, like a fundraising or funding committee, a planning committee, a marketing committee, if we do need to make it, make them smaller.
Yeah, my first action as committee chair is to direct Bill Schweitzer to get on that.
You know, everyone is very interested in all of these. We're going to keep them going and have subcommittee meetings. Yes, Canal.
Question, do you have any indication about the legislation that would establish a bicentennial commission and how this would work? Any insight into when that might happen?
If someone was looking at that,
Yeah.
that is, I think it was one house or maybe two house. Senator Dan Steck from Queensbury was the sponsor. Was
Yeah.
Assemblyman Nick Donald the sponsor? Of the
Well,
assembly?
we're asking if we can go to McDonald's. So it's just with one. I don't understand how it works completely, but what we talked about yesterday is, well, then who should we talk to? Who, let's get it going. Can we talk to the governor's office? Can we talk to assembly people, senators that are on, that are the Canal's friends?
So the bill has been introduced in both houses of the legislature. So let me poke around and see what I can find out about this.
So out of respect for that
Process.
body, yeah, and we really need, I think we should just be respectful of that process as well. I
Right.
think it's great that we want to form a committee, and that's,
We
but
have some more. We have a voice vote. It's our intention if we have to formalize that at our next meeting, and we know what the outcome is of the legislation that's going through the legislature. There was no funding named specifically, I think, in that bill, so I don't think it's dependent upon the budget, which is late, but the legislature is in session until mid-June, so we'll have until that time.
Yep, we'll take a look at it. There may be some enhancements or changes that are well advised, but I'll take a look at this and make some inquiries.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Ross, Levi, would you like to say anything relative to our bicentennial planning and I Love New York?
Just that we very much would like to at least stay informed and probably more than that in terms of talking to you about plans that you have in mind, as we did for other sorts of commemorations connected to the canals and others, women's suffrage, World Pride, Stonewall 50. We're in the habit of highlighting and holding up special events in New York State, special commemorations on our various platforms, so that people are aware of events connected with them, attractions connected with them. It's basically a good hook to talk to visitors that care about a particular area and get them to actually go and take a trip and participate. So we look forward to being active partners as things develop, and are happy to be a part of that process as well, to let you know about sort of things that have worked in other contexts.
Thank you, Ross. We're going to be going, as you are, to the New York State Tourism Industry Association Conference at the end of this month in White Plains. I know you're speaking there, and Bill is going to be giving, in my absence, because I'm returning from other travel and can't get at the immediate start of the conference, update on Bicentennial. We are working with Patrick Kaler at Visit Buffalo Niagara as one of our co-partners in the application for the 2025 World Canals Conference in Buffalo. We expect that announcement to come sometime at the beginning of June, and we'll be looking forward to that. We were very closely with you and your team and with your predecessor, Gavin Landry, for our 2017 events that we kicked off the Bicentennial with. So thank you for that. Okay, let's move along because we've got a lot of ground to cover still. I'll remind people if there is a restroom on this floor. It's behind me. There is coffee, there is water, but we're going to move into the bulk of our program, and that is the introduction of our real property items. Bill, thank you very much for that great presentation. Pursuant to Canal law and the New York State Public Authorities Law, transactions for the disposition of canal real property must be reviewed by the CRC before they are eligible for consideration and approval by the Board of Trustees of the New York Power Authority and Canal Corporation. Joining us today on screen, and we'll probably reverse the screen and hear her voice only, so we can go through the details, is Carmen Story of our real property division. Each of these 4 parcels, I want to let you know, have been reviewed by the CRC Real Property Committee and its co-chairs, Commissioner Steve Iacchetta and Commissioner Dan Wiles. So we have 4 of them, and we're going into our first item. And the first item, and you've received these in your packets, is the proposed abandonment of approximately 35.6 acres of canal land located in the village of Montour Falls in Schuyler County. Montour Falls, ladies and gentlemen, is the Key West of the New York State Canal System, the southernmost point, as far south as you can travel. When you get to Montour Falls, it's 85 degrees, it's sunny, it's balmy.
No, I just came from there.
It's just beautiful. Not really. But Carmen, would you take us through this first property item for Montour Falls?
Absolutely, Director. Thank you very much. So this first parcel has been requested by the Village of Montour Falls for use as a public campground and marina. It's located east of the Cayuga-Seneca Canal in the Village of Montour Falls in Schuyler County, within 700 feet of the terminus of the Cayuga-Seneca Canal at the south end of Seneca Lake. The 35.6 acre parcel is irregularly shaped with the western boundary extending over 4,000 feet along the Cayuga-Seneca Canal, then southerly along the easterly edge of Marina Drive, adjacent to the Canal Corporation upland disposal site, then easterly along the southern edge of Catherine Creek, and southwesterly to the point of beginning. The parcel is not needed for canal maintenance nor operational purposes. The parcel can be accessed from Marina Drive from North Catherine Street to the south. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with this requested parcel. A review of this proposal by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and/or archaeological significance has been requested. The requested parcel is bounded on the north and east by lands under the jurisdiction of New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the Canal Corp, on the south by lands of Charles Hayes and the Village of Montour Falls, and on the west by the Cayuga-Seneca Canal. The parcel is located within a PC, Public Conservation District, which is intended to protect special natural areas. Special uses allowed within the PC district include campgrounds and marinas. The village has leased this parcel since 1997 and prior to that operated under a revocable permit since 1959. The village has requested to purchase the parcel rather than renew the lease. The premises will continue to be used as a public campground and marina, and the village is working to obtain grant funding for infrastructure improvements. There are no existing or proposed trails in the vicinity of the subject parcel. The Canal Corporation will retain property rights upon the subject parcel to allow for continued use of the active upland disposal site. Needs include access over Marina Drive from Catherine Street to the south, access to a dock and power supply at the north end of the parcel, and access from the canal across the lawn and Marina Drive to the UDS to pump dredge spoils. Do we have any questions about this parcel in the village of Montour Falls?
Carmen, I think there's a couple more slides. No, maybe you've gone through them all. I'm sorry. You have. Any questions on this parcel? This is probably one of the largest parcels that's come before the CRC in my time. And as Carmen said, it's been in use under permit by the village of Montour Falls. I think she said since 1989. Is that correct, Carmen?
97 and that was the lease, and 59 they entered into the permit with us.
It's almost as old as I am. Okay. It's been around a long time. And now the village wants to take it over and make some infrastructure improvements, but maintain it as a campground. Commissioner Wiles, Commissioner Iacetta, since you reviewed this, anything you want to add before we entertain further discussion? Or I probably should take a motion to move first. Let's have a motion to move. Commissioner Torti, seconded by Commissioner Iacetta. Okay, moved and seconded. Now discussion.
Thank you, Director. I would just share kudos to staff for excellent research on this and the following items also. But this is another excellent advancement of promoting highest and best land use for public benefit, and would support the municipality, the village of Montour Falls, and their ability to secure financing for desired improvements to this canal side property and preserve and enhance the public benefits.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wiles, want to speak on this?
Yeah, what gets my attention is the size of the parcel. It is one of the biggest issues we've ever been presented. And in reviewing these items, personally, I think it's my responsibility to kind of weigh what is the best use for the petitioner and also what's the best use for the Canal Corp. And I am convinced that this is the best use of this property for Montour Falls, but I hesitate to say I think it's the best use for the Canal Corp. There's a pretty good price tag on the lease for this property as it sits right now. And when you sell something, yep, you get a big chunk at the beginning, but that's all you get. And if you go long-term, if you think long-term, the steady income, the steady revenue generated by this piece of property should be considered. And I think in our discussions with the committee that the lease amount annually is in the ballpark of $70,000. And I would ask Bill Schweitzer what his department could do with $70,000 a year. And I think it's pretty substantial. But again, it philosophically, I would like to see our land issues thought about longer term sometimes than they traditionally are. And I would like to see the tremendous asset that the Canal Corp has in its waterfront property used to create a steady source of revenue. And I don't have the answer on exactly how to do that, but I would like to see it. And again, to give you scale of this piece of property, the waterfront is almost 3/4 of a mile long. That's a lot of waterfront property, in my opinion. Now, having said that, I think it's the best use for Montour Falls for this piece of property. But I just want to, I needed to vent a little bit, and that's, those are my thoughts.
Then you might benefit from other commissioners and what they have to say. I think you're making the point that we should consider commission could consider the benefit of continuing to lease the property and the predictable revenue stream that comes from a annual lease on that property versus selling it for a one-time sum. I would venture to guess, and I don't know the details, maybe Carmen can say that we're likely to have more investment in the property if the sale of the transaction goes through. The village seems to be inclined to want to make infrastructure improvements, which in turn would drive visitation and tourism, dollars being spent, good for the county. I know Judy McKinney-Cherry is not a member of our board or an official representative, but is the regional co-chair of the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Council. And I would also, I think it would be appropriate for that. But first, we will confine our discussion to the commissioners. So we've heard what Commissioner Wiles has said. Cal, did you have something?
I have a comment and a request to the real estate committee and also to the good folks at the Canal Corporation. I would like to even take a step back, not for this particular project. Over the years, we've discussed a lot of abandoned properties. And it would be neat to have, not neat, it would be really important to have a spreadsheet that may be listed, not back from the very beginning, but at least recently, when we vote on abandoned properties, what happens? Like how many, this is 35 acres, we got another one in here for 30 acres, we got another one. So we're looking at 70 acres of land. That's a lot of land to dispose of in one meeting. So maybe if we could get a spreadsheet that has the parcels, maybe the last 5 years, we didn't meet for a couple of years, and we could take a look and see what have our decisions yielded? What's happened to those parcels? Some are landlocked, and I get that, it's somebody's backyard. But this is 30 acres. It's, I agree, highest and best use.
How much money we got for them?
And right now I have a little, I'm not gonna take the time now, I have a little idea of what I'd like to see, like the parcel, number of acres, what it said it was gonna do, did it do that? Was it disposed of? Was
I
it?
think that's probably in the name of accountability, as Empire State Development would do for the regional consolidated funding application grant process.
We had to do that with
See
Startup
if
New
it's
York.
fulfilled its expectations, and they're not job projections here. There's not a price tag on the parcel that we can disclose here. That's not part of the process. There's not a figure put on investment. It's more of an act of faith that it's going to happen. But these are all worthy conversations, and I think your point is well
That's how we're
taken.
doing. So at the end of the day, we can say, so how are our decisions? How did we do over the past 5-6 years? Because I think we're well intended, highest and best use. How do we do? And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Cal. That's bothered me since I've become a commissioner.
Okay.
I want to know what happened to it.
That's what happened. Yeah.
All right, we have another job on our plate.
I know.
Where's Bill?
He's eating his cupcake.
No, we will put that onto that, absolutely. So, okay, we're not voting yet. Other commissioners, comments or questions on this property
I
item?
think, if there was a private person buying that property, yes, but I think the Village of Montour Falls, I think it's a good idea to sell it.
Right, if it were to be to a private individual, it would go to auction. The parcel would go to auction. We'd have a different call to action here, a request for you.
I think it's best.
Commissioner Cole, Commissioner DeRoller, do you have any comments or questions on this property?
No, thank you.
Commissioner DeRolla here.
Oh, yes, Commissioner DeRoller, please.
Yeah. All the discussion's very good. This particular parcel, I think, fits. It's not needed for operation. Village ownership enhances tourism. All those things are very good. I think it's a great way to go for this particular parcel. So I agree with all the comments.
Natalie, do you have anything to add?
I want to echo some of what's being said already. And so this is all coming from like little tiny bits of information I've gathered over my years interacting with the canal. And that I know that there are questions about the canal, I don't know, costing more money than it brings in. And as we go through these discussions and little bit by little bit, have these parcels of land that are actually generating money for the canal, what, I don't know, I'm just kind of curious about kind of those long-term financial plans, like how, if the canal is, I don't know, hoping to bring in more money in the future, what do we do with the money when we sell these properties? Does it go into a fund that generates revenue that equates $70,000 a year? Like, is that an endowment of sorts that grows over time, or is that money come in and then goes out? I would just be curious to have just a little more information.
I'm not, I believe the proceeds from both permit and property sales go to the Canal Development Fund. And the Canal Development Fund, I think, yielded 1.5 million in the last year. If you know what our budget is, 145 million. We're almost there, but not quite.
Okay, that's great. That is helpful information to have.
So I mean, obviously, but I think you need to look also deeper into canal law and the purpose of the Canal Recreationway Commission. If we are obligated to prioritize property sales and move this property to ownership by municipality or by private enterprise under the public authorities law and under the other laws that we are governed by. So, you know, that's something that we need to look at. And Vince, I don't know if you have any perspective on that. Is there a impetus to encourage permit as opposed to viable sale or property transfer?
Well, I don't know if there's an existing policy on that, but I think it's certainly a good point that bears consideration. So let me think about how best to sort of propose that as part of the analysis either of this board or the Canal Corporation. I do think it's a valid consideration.
Any other commentary on this by our commissioners, commentary or questions? I would like to ask Judy McKinney-Cherry, who I believe is still online as the co-chair of the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Council. Judy, is there anything you'd like to add to this discussion?
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Stratton, for the opportunity to sort of just say a few words. One is Montour Falls, in fact, is the Key West of the Erie Canal system, and we're very proud of that. And I didn't say this earlier, but I do hail from Watkins Glen. And what I would say is they've been great stewards of this property, and I think they've demonstrated. That they know how to care for and to utilize the property. I also know that there is a very strong effort to actually activate the canal, and they're very focused on that. They definitely, while we may not along the spine of the Erie Canal recognize Montour Falls, they recognize the Erie Canal's place and their place within that setting. The other piece that's kind of interesting that the commissioners may not be aware of, we actually have a new housing development that is being built in Watkins Glen right along the canal. And as a result, because there is definitely a demand for more slips and for a greater opportunity for additional boats to go up into Montour Falls for their summer usage. And so between the campsite and increased marina, I do believe it really does meet the commission's desire to have more activity on the canals, and certainly from a recreation perspective. I do want to make sure I say this because earlier I heard someone say, well, there's no trails. It is our desire to create a circular trail, pardon me, that goes on the east side down into Montour Falls and then comes back along the Catherine Valley Trail. So it in fact would activate some additional trail activity around there. So again, I would ask that you give this strong consideration. The village has been asking me about this for many years. Since I arrived, they said, we'd really like to do something more. So I would just ask you to give strong consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. That's very valuable information. Anyone want to, any questions for Judy McKinney Cherry? Commissioners, I guess we can take a vote unless that someone is objecting to a vote. Commissioner Wiles, any more questions or concerns from your point?
No, I don't think so. No.
All right. The motion has been moved. It has been seconded. We have entertained discussion and additional information provided by the co-chair of the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Council, notating that in fact there is a plan to bring a trail system over that creek and into the east side of the parcel. So with that, all those in favor of moving this forward signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say no. Commissioner Wiles, did you vote aye or no?
I vote aye.
Very good, thank you. Okay, the motion has been passed. Thank you very much. Great discussion. Let's move on to item number 2 in our package, and that is another large parcel. This is the abandonment of 30 acres of canal land located in the village of Newark in Wayne County. Newark, as you recall, is one of our newest DRI, Downtown Revitalization Initiative communities. And this is part of their DRI strategic investment plan that they hope to get approved by the Department of State. Carmen, take us through this one, please.
Okay, thank you, Director. I always worry that I'm going to put you guys to sleep, but this one is going to get your blood moving because it's just a really exciting project. It's a 30-acre parcel that's rectangular in shape and has an average depth of approximately 500 feet and an average length of 2,800 feet. The parcel is not needed for canal maintenance nor operational purposes. Space along the Erie Canal in the village of New York, as the director mentioned, has been identified as a focus area for the New York State Downtown Revitalization Initiative. The parcel can be accessed from a parking area located at the north end of Edgett Street Bridge, the Canalway Trail, or by West Shore Drive. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with this requested parcel. A review of this proposal by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and/or archaeological significance has been requested. The requested parcel is bounded on the south by the Canalway Trail and Erie Canal, on the north by West Shore Drive, on the east by lands owned by MJB Properties Holdings LLC, and on the west by lands owned by the town of Arcadia. The parcel is located within a PD, Planned Unit Development District, and has been requested by the applicant to be developed for mixed residential and commercial use, including offices, retail, a village hall, a community center, and green space. The Canalway Trail runs east to west, adjacent to the southerly boundary of the subject parcel, and can be accessed by the parking area at the north end of the Edgett Street Bridge. The Village of New York is a Round 5 Downtown Revitalization Initiative winner of $10 million in funding for investment in the community, including mixed-use development, additional housing for the workforce and seniors, and new space for indoor recreation and wellness, with a focus on utilizing space along the Erie Canal. The Canal Corporation is retaining ownership of lands from the shore of the Erie Canal to 12 feet north of the paved surface of the Canalway Trail for the purpose of maintenance and operations. The village currently maintains this section of the trail through a use and occupancy permit. Do we have any questions about this parcel in the village of Newark?
Thank you, Carmen. We're going to take a motion to move and then second. We get someone to move, please. Moved by Commissioner Aiketta, second by Commissioner Patorti. Okay. This is a very key parcel to the village's DRI plan. If you know if you know Newark, you know it is a lovely canal side village. I spent some time in my off hours there last summer in a canal boat tied up. It's great. This new section of trail is one of our newer sections of the Empire State Trail, which then Lieutenant Governor Hochul joined us to dedicate with village officials. And this parcel is a former UDS site, but it is long interested by the village. They already have a number of developers that are interested in moving forward, and this is going to be part of their strategic investment plan, which they will bring to the Department of State. That's what I know about it, but other commissioners might comment on this.
And we get no money from this right now. That's just abandoned piece of property, correct?
No, it's a closed UDS site. Is that correct? Closed data.
Yes, that we've never really used.
Back in the day, it's pretty much wooded now.
And the village of Newark is the purchaser, and they're gonna develop it along with some private sector.
Correct.
That's the plan.
This will be leveraging private sector development to bring a mixed-use residential business retail component, which is, or housing, which is really what you want to do along the canal, and create the kind of tax revenue and the economic growth that would come with that. So your approval would be key to their DRI plan and strategic plan.
Had their eye on this property for many years.
And very, very enthusiastic. We've known, had a good relationship with Newark Mayor Jonathan Taylor, and he's been very interested in this. And we have a level of confidence that this is a sound transaction. Commissioners at the table seem to be content with that. Commissioner Wiles, Commissioner DeRoller, Commissioner Cole, any comments on this parcel?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Very good. Thank you. It has been moved. It has been seconded. It has been discussed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner. On to our next item. And that will be the approach of abandonment of approximately 1/3 of 1 acre of canal land located in the town of Carrington in Monroe County. Very small parcel now. And Carmen, take us away on this one.
Thank you, Director. The third disposal has been requested by the adjoining upland owner to be assembled with her existing property to increase her lot size. It is located east of the Erie Canal and to the west of private property on Creag Road in the town of Carrington in Monroe County. This forested parcel at 3/10 of an acre is irregularly shaped with an average width of 80 feet and an average length of 170 feet and can be accessed from the applicant's parcel. The parcel is not needed for canal maintenance nor operational purposes. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with the requested parcel. This proposal has been reviewed by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and/or archaeological significance and has been found to have no impact on properties listed in or eligible for the New York State and National Registers of Historic Places. The requested parcel is bounded on the north by lands under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation, on the south and east by lands owned by the applicant, and on the west by Canal Corporation property under permit to the applicant. The parcel is located within a residential A district within the town of Carrington and has been requested by the applicant to be assembled with her adjoining property to increase her lot size to allow for local municipal code to be met to potentially construct a second single-family home on the conjoined property. There are no existing or proposed trails impacted by the subject parcel. However, the Erie Canalway Trail does run parallel to the canal along the opposite westerly shore. Any questions about this parcel in Carrington?
We have a motion to move this item forward, moved by Commissioner Iacetta, second by Commissioner Stetson. Okay, discussion on or questions on the item. Now,
Just a clarification. So this parcel is adjacent to the existing parcel and she has an occupancy permit.
If you look at the map that's on the screen now, I
Yeah.
think her parcel would be below. Is that right, Carmen? You can move your cursor down to where her parcel is. And
Her parcel is this piece of property to the east of
so she
the
wants to go to
subject.
the back toward, okay,
And
she's
she
going to
needs-
the rear and potentially putting another structure on that parcel, which is
And
toward the
potentially access from here, or from Beatrice Cove to the second parcel.
very good.
Director?
Yes.
If I could share an information point from our real property committee. Staff did research and shared that this is required by town zoning to support the development of a second residential single-family dwelling.
Okay.
And that's the intent and purpose, and would support appropriate highest and best land use here for this owner of this parcel to allow for a second dwelling.
What is the distance from the outer perimeter to the canal? Do we know what that is approximately?
This is approximately 100 feet, and it is being retained because we do need it for operational purposes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ambrose, you have any items on this to add to the discussion? No. Other commissioners with commentary or questions?
Roller good?
I'm good.
Commissioners on screen are good, remotely, okay, very good. We look forward to Parenton increasing its taxable parcel and contributing to that effort and their goodwill for the canal and all we do going forward. So we'll make sure the supervisor knows that we're acting in his best interest too. Okay, it's been moved to second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries. Thank you. We're under our fourth and final property item now, and that is the proposed abandonment of approximately 1.3 acres of canal land, again in Monroe County, but this time in the town of Gates and Greece. I guess it straddles both towns, the towns of Gates and Greece. Carmen, please.
Thank you, Director. So our last parcel for this meeting has been requested again by an adjoining upland owner to be assembled with his existing property. It is located south of the Erie Canal and north of private property along Mesa Lane and Valencia Drive in the towns of Gates and Greece in Monroe County. The semi-rectangularly shaped parcel has an average depth of 45 feet and an average length of approximately 1,250 feet. It is adjacent to lands previously abandoned to the applicant in 1986 by the predecessor to the Canal Corporation. This parcel has been permitted by the applicant since 1968. The parcel is not needed for canal maintenance or operational purposes. And when you're looking at the sketch here, this orange line that runs horizontally is the town line, just for clarification.
So which side is Gates and which side is Greece?
So Gates is to the south and Greece is to the north. So the bulk of this parcel will be in the town of Gates.
And this has been under permit, that parcel has been under permit since what, 1967?
1968, sir. Long time. So based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with the requested parcel. A review of the proposal by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and/or archaeological significance has been requested. The requested parcel is bounded on the south by the applicant's property and Valencia Drive, and on the north, east, and west by lands owned by New York State Canal Corporation. It is located within an RM, multiple family residential district, and a PL, public lands district within the town of Greece. And within the town of Gates, the parcel is within R1 residential, one family, and NB neighborhood business districts.
So looking, I just have one question before we move, and
Sure.
and second is that the footprint within the parcel, which has been under permit since 1968, The properties that are immediately next to that are single-family or multifamily dwelling, maybe townhomes, condominiums right there.
So these homes are multifamily residences, and they were there before the town of Gates updated its zoning to the single family and neighborhood business zoning.
Okay.
There are single family homes here to the south and also here to the west.
Did you say what the intended use of the property is once they get possession?
The requesting entity wishes to add this to his existing land to be used for residential recreational use.
Oh, residential recreation.
So, and so
It's not to build on.
not to build on. And the Canalway Trail is just to the north of this subject parcel, and the Canal Corp will be retaining a 12-foot maintenance buffer from the paved edge of the trail in order to ensure that the trail can be mowed, maintained, and reconstructed when necessary without encumbrance. That's it.
A motion to move by Commissioner Ikenis, second by Commissioner Forte. Moved and second. Discussion. Questions?
Just a question, Steve, maybe you know this, so the zoning, are they grandfathered because the zoning was changed so that multifamily stuff, what, do we have any concerns about that? If it should ever, those buildings should go away? Is that a concern?
It was discussed in some detail in our committee meeting. I suggested 12 feet be a minimum separation buffer for maintenance purposes and snow piling and so on. And, it will be reserved for residential recreational use. So
Can we
people
put that,
can,
can we put that in that so that they can't build on it? I mean, is that possible to say
Is
that?
there a covenant that they can't build on it, or is there?
Have to use for recreation? Can you do that?
So we haven't gotten to that point in the discussions with the applicant yet, but if that's something that that everyone wishes to happen, we could probably make that happen.
Good idea.
So you want a restriction from building on the property?
Yeah, you're so close to the trail.
correct.
It,
So we have,
It's a 25-foot average depth parcel, though. Would you want to make that restriction on the entire? I think that's what Carmen said, right? So would you recommend that, or just something in excess of the 12-foot difference? No building within 15, I don't know.
no building within 15 feet?
It'd be a municipal zoning matter.
Right, it's their headache,
Count.
but it's our
Yeah, it's a
long-term.
local zoning matter.
Right, they're,
Land use.
Trustee, does this take you back to your city
I'm sitting
council
here
days?
thinking, we're starting down a path that means we do it today, we gotta then have this question forever and ever with every piece that comes next.
Right, you're setting
Setting
precedent
precedent. Yeah.
on this, okay.
So you better be very sure you wanna go that way.
Right, 12's the minimum as proposed, was my point.
okay.
But it's a local matter for zoning, land
Right.
use jurisdiction.
The only reason I bring it up is because the zoning has changed
You can't-
since that building was put in there. So that's a trigger.
It's their jurisdiction.
It is their jurisdiction. Just duly noted, but it's my project.
Leave it as is, correct? And
Yep.
leave it to the local zoning authorities. Any further discussion or questions? Commissioners on screen, online, any questions, commentary?
I'm good.
All right, it's been moved and it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, that item passes unanimously. All right, deep breath. Thank you, Carmen, for that wonderful job on taking us through those 4 property items. We have a lot of property activity after not a lot of property activity in recent years. So, and I'm sure we'll have more coming forward. So let's go back to the agenda slide, and we're into new business now. Moving on, I would like to ask if members have any new business that they would like to bring before the commission. Either the members, the commission members here at the table, or the commissioners that are on screen. New business, okay. No new business, Commissioner Wiles, Commissioner Roller. Commissioner Cole?
Well, okay. You had to ask. I'm just curious if there's been any communication with the State Museum or anything new on the Day Peck and Paw front.
I can tell you that the Day Peckinpah is currently undergoing a analysis to potentially begin a marine survey on the vessel. I think that's in Dave Mellon's purview now, and our vessel, Randy Fenton and his crew are currently looking it over what it would entail. We wanted to see what we had some figures on the vessel that were completed, I think, in 2018 or 2016, relative to what it would take to get it underway when there was a proposal to bring it to Buffalo. And they're going to revisit those numbers. We haven't sealed that contract yet to begin that analysis. Dave, do you have anything else to add?
No, that's true. We're gonna pin down the scope of work for the analysis, and then we're gonna communicate that internally. There'll be a cost associated with it, and if everybody agrees that we should move forward with looking at what it would take to make bring that vessel up to a standard that it could be transported westward to Buffalo, we'll go forward and we would then understand that.
Just to refresh, we've had interest expressed by Canal side and the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation to temporarily accommodate the Day Peckinpah as part of their planned bicentennial celebration at Canal side in 2025. They don't want to take it on permanently, but we're still working on ways to lobby for that. But obviously, the first step is to make it seaworthy or canal worthy, or to return it to service since it's been docked, dry docked, or shoreside docked for many years. It is the last remaining vestige of the original barge canal constructed for use on the barge canal. Trustee, it's a 260 feet long. It fills up an entire lot.
I did the research after the last meeting, just to know what you guys were talking about.
Good.
But, the thing with this kind of project is it's the long-term cost of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do you invest now and not think about the long-term cost of that investment? And who's gonna carry that burden?
Well, the investment makes sense if there's a suitable long-term permanent home for it. Also, it is part of our history. It would be a fitting display. If it is transported, it would include a tour of the canal with the community element. It did do that in its previous life. It's got a massive cargo hold that's boardable by pedestrians to house exhibits. If you've been to the Buffalo waterfront, you see a number of historic military vessels and other vessels. And I think that the Day Peckinpah would be the only one that had a real history at that waterfront, because it probably did go back and forth and unload out of the silos at the Buffalo waterfront. So.
But did I hear you say they're not interested in the long term?
They're not interested. Well, I think they don't have the funding, but we have a governor. Maybe we can work that into the Buffalo Bill statement.
At least have plans.
Just for the record. We would like to see it have a permanent home. And so, Dan, I think that's all the information that I have right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Hopefully we'll have more information on that either before or at the July meeting. Other questions, other new business? Okay, we are not entertaining more new business. Are there any members of the public outside of the commission, our agency representatives, and our regional planning executives that would like to address the commission? Would you like to speak? If so, identify yourself. Whose hand is up? Yes, sir. You're recognized. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Scott Croft with Boat Owners Association of the United States. Just a short comment that I really appreciate all your efforts in addressing the AIS mitigation issue, as well as trying to find a win-win solution to continuing navigation on the canal. I think we all recognize the importance of the canal today as a recreational waterway. And I deeply appreciate everyone's efforts from NYPA to the New York State, to the Canal Corporation, as well as DEC, who are all working hard on this plan to, I think, smartly and using the right information, allowing for adjustments and change based on the data to go forward this season, and keeping navigation open on the Champlain Canal. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. It's good to have you with us, and we appreciate your support and your partnership with the efforts that we're working with cooperatively with DEC and the governor's office and all of our partners to make this process go forward. Any other members of the public who would like to speak? All right, hearing none. The date and time for our next meeting, we will look at reconvening again in person for the commission for our third quarterly meeting this summer. In fact, we have identified tentative dates not only for that meeting, but for our next 4 meetings for the thumbs up by Commissioner Wiles as noted. So you can circle those on your calendar and make sure that your vacation plans don't intersect with those. In fact, as usual practice, we will conduct a survey of commission members to determine the best time and location for our next meeting and the following 3, and those which will follow for the remainder of 23 and the first of 22 and the first one for the first quarter of 2023. Any members wish to discuss this item? Well, rather than talk about dates now, we'll have Kim reach out to you offline, okay? But we have a date in mind for a July meeting and a location. We have tentative dates for the 3 meetings that follow that. So we'll get all of this information to you and handle it in a more comprehensive way by email, traffic, and phone calls. Okay. Before we entertain a motion to adjourn, let me just again thank our hosts here at the New York Energy Zone and hope you're going to continue to join us for our 2. Let's have a round of applause for the New York Energy Zone. Caruso, and we're going to be touring the Energy Zone upstairs. I would also like to thank our corporation staff over here, our wonderful corporation staff. And I would like to thank Kim Orapello of our team for organizing some late sandwiches come in right before we sat down. So if you didn't get a sandwich or if you want to take something home for dinner, we have sandwiches to go also for those of you who are here. Where did they come from, Joe? Rosario's. If you know Utica, you know they're famous for good Italian food and sandwiches and wonderful food of all nationalities. So Rosario sandwiches and maybe a couple of Panera, which is always good for me. So if there's no further business to come before it, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Matorti. Second. Commissioner Iacchetta. It has been moved to second. Discussion on the motion to adjourn. Any reconsideration? Okay.
Bye, everybody.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.